Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. So today I will talk to you about Microsoft Teams governance and more especially about how we can leverage the Power Platform to rule the collaborative workspace. So first of all, thank you for the organization team and of course to the sponsor who help us to have this event possible. Don't forget to sign up for prizes on the raffle. If you are lucky, it's gonna be good for you. And a little bit about myself. I'm from France and I work at UpCollab as a technical lead on Power Platform and Teams. And my daily work is mostly based on building synergy between the Power Platform and the Teams collaboration needs. So don't hesitate to reach me on social media such as LinkedIn or Twitter. So in this session, I will talk you first about the Teams governance and the business governance, how this is working together. I will talk a little bit about how we can empower Microsoft Teams, because there is some recent update from Microsoft Ignite who help Microsoft Teams to be better. And I will show you a little demo of a Power Virtual Agent chatbot to rule those workspace and to make adoption and governance. And we will be able to talk about the next step for this kind of solution. So first of all, I'm sure plenty of you have found themselves lost in Teams or trying to find some content and information, and it is sometimes very difficult to find information in Teams, because when we start, we have 1, 2, 3 teams, but Teams is here since almost 4 years now, and in some case we can have 15, 50, 100 teams. So it's very, very, very difficult to control them, to govern them. If we are owner of teams, it can be more difficult. So it's very important to see that Microsoft provides us a lot of feature out of the box, but those features are not for everyone, and those feature doesn't work in every scenario. So one of the strategy I pushed and I believe in is that Microsoft Teams needs to be the solution for the governance of Microsoft Teams itself. Microsoft, if a user or if an owner of Teams stay the most of his time inside Teams, it will save time because it will not need to go in some external interface, external forms to manage the teams or to manage the different team he's member of. One other thing to know is that Microsoft Teams governance subject is very large. We can address a lot of things when we are talking about Microsoft Teams governance. We can do some very easy and small governance, but when we are talking with very large organization with many different business inside the organization, it's very important to go deeper. And this mind map I try to use, and I try also to keep up to date, can show you all the aspects at my knowledge who we need to be addressed when we are talking about Microsoft Teams governance. And of course, Microsoft Teams governance has a lot of feature, but as I mentioned just previously, those features are not the same for every organization. That means Microsoft has many features for us as an admin or as a power user or even just as a Teams owner, but every business has its own rules. So for me, this is not about Teams governance. It's about business governance applied to Teams. And this is very important to understand that this is not, and this has not to be the Teams governance from an IT perspective, but it's more about the business governance in Teams from the business perspectives, from the business owner. And the last thing, but we don't need to forget, is that I call this immersion experience, but it's more about what is the experience we propose for user, for team owner, when we talk about business and Teams governance. Too often I see some external form, external application, and we are missing the big picture that we need to have a good immersion experience on Teams if we want to grow the adoption of Teams. So the Power Platform is very efficient in Teams governance because we have access through Power Automate and Power Apps to all the tools we need to build automation and to build forms to help us providing an integrated solution to rule Teams. And of course, the Power Platform can interact directly through to Microsoft Graph API through an Azure AD application. And Graph API can be resumed to a giant API to interact with all Microsoft 365 workloads. So with the Power Platform, we can create automation to create automatically some team. We can create template and store those templates inside a database. It can be the common data service, it can be SharePoint list, it can be an SQL server or any kind of database who can be integrated to the Power Platform. We can use the Power Platform as an engine because we can use the Power Platform for the front end through Power Apps, for example, and from the back end through Common Data Service and Power Automate. And Microsoft Graph help us to address all the use case about collaboration and productivity. So when we talk about Power Platform, I'm sure everyone already know that, but Power Platform is for the citizen developer, or I prefer to call them the power user, and the professional developer. So if the Power Platform is not out of the box enough, doesn't have enough capabilities to address the Teams governance needs, we can leverage some external or some Azure capabilities using custom connector or using API or custom code such as Azure Function or Logic Apps pattern. And one other thing we have to think when we are using the Power Platform to build Teams governance is it's not a good idea and not a good way to try to have the best governance answering all the feature we need. The good thing with the Power Platform is that we can build a most valuable product very quick. So the idea is just to go this way, build a quick MVP and iterate in adding some feature after version. Recently, since the announcement on Ignite, we see that the Power Platform is more integrated in Teams, meaning that last year Microsoft talked about Teams as a platform, and for me now with Project Oakdale and the full integration of Power Apps, Power Virtual Agent, and Power Automate inside Teams, it's really Teams as a platform. We can see Teams as the the foundation for all kind of solution we want to build. And Teams governance or business Teams governance can be one of them. And with this kind of native integration, it's helping the power user culture to grow. It's also helped many organizations to build a Power Platform Factory. Recently, all the kind of organization I discussed with them are asking me solution to build a Power Platform Factory, because they don't want just now to have one or two solutions for a specific use case. Their mindset changed recently, and they completely understand the benefits of the Power Platform. So they are asking not just to implement one, two, or three use cases. They want to implement all the use case for all the business they need. And last but not least, the Power Platform really helps to reduce the friction and the switch, the context switching for user. It can be manager or end user. Everyone who use Teams and use solution such as Power Apps application integrated in Teams is saving times, because by not switching between Teams and another application, it can be your browser or another external application, it saves times in day-to-day job. And the main idea of saving time is to focus on the value, on the work who values, meaning that every aspect of my work who can be automated, I want it to be automated, because I can focus on stuff who needs my attention and not stuff who is just not valuable. Before I go through the demo, just a quick reminder that Power Virtual Agent lifecycle is very easy to understand from a power user perspective. For example, if I take myself as an example, I'm not a developer, and the Power Virtual Agent lifecycle and the onboarding on Power Virtual Agent is very easy, and it's help us to have very quick a working bot for a simple use case. And the other thing who is very important to understand when we are working and where we are looking at using Power Virtual Agent is that it's built on top of the Power Platform, so it can leverage almost all kind of connector through Power Automate. So if we project ourselves, we are using a Power Virtual Agent, we are able to trigger and to start a workflow. And inside this workflow, we will be able to add some connectors. So it's kind of a new experience and a new way of seeing data input, data collect from the user, and the interaction between the user and the backend. So if we are looking more closely about Teams advisory, about adoption and Teams governance, it is possible to, not using the classic old way of building a Power Apps application to collect user input, to provide user information, and to focus more on a new experience, new native experience with the end user. Using the Power Virtual Agent and the chatbot, we can have a virtual assistant who will help us to automate and to quickly do the job for us without switching context of Teams, and without also the need to opening an application. So I will show you what it means in this demo. Here. Okay, so here I am on my development environment, and before I build a chatbot, I was using a classic application such as this one. It's integrated in Teams, but it's an old way of seeing the interaction with the user. It's the classic experience we know since decades. It's an application, a form application, where I can select which kind of teams I want to create. I have a very large gallery of templates. I can see the details of the template. I can use the template, and I can add the name of the teams, etc., etc. But if I want to go quicker, I can build and package every aspect of the teams inside the template, and I can provide just the template to the user. So I don't anymore. I don't need anymore a very time-consuming application such as a Power Apps application. I can leverage the capabilities of the Power Virtual Agent chatbot. So, for example, I can do exactly the same just by asking to my chatbot that I will need a team for my project, and I will go through the process. The chatbot will ask me first the 3 aspects I showed you previously in the Power Apps application. So here I want to collaborate and automate, and is providing me the template he has in his catalog. So he has those kind of templates. He has also more templates. I can go back to the old one, and I can say, okay, show me the Teams advisory experience, because I'm new to Teams and I want to discover Teams. I just recently got engaged in the organization, and I'm new to Teams, so I need to learn about Teams. So he will ask me, okay, he wants me to provide him a name for the team. Okay, so and he asks me a description. And he's creating for me all the aspects. Is telling me, okay, everything is done. You can check your teams. I'm doing the job for you. So if I go back to Teams, I'm seeing that the Teams is provisioned and is being processed. I know that because there is channel missings and tabs missing. So it will take almost 30 seconds. Yes, we see the tabs are coming. So I will show all the tabs. Okay, and as we see, I added some immersion experience because I added some messages. We can also add some adaptive cards. We can add some tasks, some planner. We can add everything we need, and everything we previously added in the old application, such as the template, the OneNote, the planner, etc. We can add this in the same workflow, and just the difference is just it's not the Power Apps who trigger the workflow. It's the Power Virtual Agent who trigger the workflow. But the logic and the backend stay almost the same. We just have to change a little bit of our logic on how we trigger the workflow and how we use the template. Because you see, it didn't the Power Virtual Agent didn't ask me to select the data classification, the expiration, and every kind of settings for the team, because I set up all those settings directly through the template I provide through Power Virtual Agent. So here it's the template who is helping a user to discover teams. I added some tabs and channel. Here I can find all the stuff Microsoft is providing us through the adoption website. I can also provide the user information through a stream video directly present inside the environment. So if I have, we can say, the CIO words or the manager words when a new employee came to the company, he can find all the stuff inside this kind of teams. I also add some forms and, for example, the amazing Microsoft 365 engagement framework from Joanne Klein, who help people understand how Microsoft 365 works. And we can also leverage the new capabilities of Microsoft Teams in Power Automate action, such as messages and creating a notification mentioned inside of Teams. So this one is built through Power Automate. And I can also add some Microsoft interactive demonstration. I don't know if you're aware, but Microsoft have some interactive demo for Teams and Project Cortex, and we can add them through the Teams because it's just like a website tabs. And it can be very helpful for a new Teams user to understand how works Teams. He can go through this kind of demo and discover how Teams works in production. And it can also leverage the new Project Cortex capabilities by discovering the Project Cortex, how Project Cortex works, again, with the interactive demo. I can also provide and push to the user some training information. It can be training, outsourced training from Microsoft or from a third-party website, but it can also be directly integrated if the organization has set up a Microsoft 365 learning pathway, for example, or if the application is using a third-party application, such as a Klaxoon or another one. We can, with the Power Platform and the Graph API, we can set up the application and set up the tabs with the third-party application directly to the Teams. I can add the my own organization website. So if I'm building, for example, an onboarding template with the corporate news, the HR news, the manager news, etc., I can have all those kind of information directly set up and push for the user. And last but not least, I can add some other information using Sway. It's not often I see organization using Sway, but it's a sad situation if you ask me, because Sway can be very powerful to present information in a very efficient way. And we can integrate Sway directly through Teams. It's not provided by default when you search to add tabs. There is no Sway tab because Sway is just a website tab. And people don't often try to integrate Sway, but it can be very powerful because there is a lot of organization, and also Microsoft itself is using Sway to provide learning content to the user. So how is it working on the backend? On the backend, I have a Power Virtual Agent. Oh, okay, give me a second. Okay, it's here. So on the backend, I have a Power Virtual Agent with two little topic. One topic who is handling all the template aspect, and one topic who is handling the initial talking with the user. I disabled the other topic because they are provided by default, and you can mention that this demo and this session has been built before Ignite. So I didn't have access to Oragdel, and it has to be rebuilt with Project Oragdel to be more integrated to Teams. And the main thing of the chatbot is that is going to call. So I go through the template, I select my template, and when I'm done with my template, I will just call a workflow. And the workflow has only one thing to do, is to create the team and to add all the aspects of the teams. So in this scenario, it's a demo, so don't pay attention to the naming convention I used. I'm leveraging the out of the box action, because one of the great thing of Power Automate is that Microsoft is providing us a lot of new feature monthly and quarterly, who help us to bypass the needs of going through PNP PowerShell or Graph API hard work. Recently, they had an action called Create a Team. So we don't need to call Graph API to create a team. We can create a team directly through this kind of action. Of course, there is a difference. With Graph API, you have a lot of options you can add. With this kind of action, you only have the visibility you can set up, the description, and the name. After the creation, I add all the channel I showed you. I get the mention token to create the message I showed you also. And for the tabs, because it is not currently available by default in Microsoft Power Automate action, I have to use the Graph API call. And before to go to the Graph API call, I have to set up and use an Azure AD application who has the correct permission to access Graph API to interact with the Microsoft Teams. So, for example, if I take this one, I add a website tab who is pointing to the Teams demo interactive page, and I set up this tab inside the new teams because I collect the new team ID and the ID of the channel, who is the general, the channel general, the default one. And to be able to send this request to Graph API, I have to set up the authentication method. The authentication method Active Directory OAuth, and I have to provide some information such as the tenant ID, the audience, the client ID, and the client secret of the Azure AD application. And when I have all this set up on the backend, I'm able to send every kind of request to Graph API if I have the correct permission on the Graph API Azure AD application. I will be able to interact with the workload. This is one of the very good thing about Graph API, is that if we set up the correct permission, we are able to interact directly with workloads. We can, for example, create a planner, but not just create the planner. We can create the planner, create the tab, create the task, sorry, create the bucket, and set up all this inside the tab on a specific channel, on a specific team. So this is as you can see, not very difficult to automatically create a team through a Power Virtual Agent. So I will go back to my slide. But what are the next step of those kind of solution? For me, currently, many organizations and many experts on Microsoft 365 are working on the classic experience I showed you, a Power Apps application. It can be a third-party application, but it's still the old way of experience. It's a classic forms. Only the interface change a little bit, the design, the branding, but it stay the same experience. You choose the name, you choose the description, you choose a template, and you ask to create. And it's not very, in my perspective, it's not very efficient because we still have to go to the application to open the good feature of the application and to use it. And for me, the solution I showed you with Power Virtual Agent is changing the way user will think about requesting a workload or requesting something. It can also help us to help the qualification of workspace. I explain you what I mean with that point. Currently, many organizations are facing another big challenge. The challenge before the crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, and the challenge just after the COVID-19 crisis is quick. I need to have teams to keep my business running. Okay, they set up teams and they open it free for all because they had to. But now many organizations are facing the situation where they have too many teams and they don't know how to govern them. So many vendor and many experts provide a classic experience I showed you previously, but this is not the correct answer to their problem, because they're gonna say it's perfect for my new teams, but what about my 1,000, my 10,000 teams I already previous created? How can I add them to the solution? It can be many possible way to do that. Import, export, information to the backend, etc. But it could be much better if all this information in import could be done automatically by the best stakeholder, such as the owners of the team. So if, for example, we could have a bot who can interact directly with the user to ask them, hey, Hadrien, is this team still available? Is this team still accurate? Which kind of templates we need to link to this team? And when the user answer all the question, the information is collected by the Power Virtual Agent, and it helps the system to store those information inside the backend and to grow the catalog of workspace and of templates to help the organization in the assessment of the old workspace created before any kind of solution. Also, having a chatbot could be very efficient to add workloads as a service. I previously explained you a use case when we want to add a template of planner, for example. The template of planner is always linked to a Teams template. But I could have a template, work on it, and 2 months or 3 months later, I will need the template of Planner. And this is at this moment, I will call the chatbot and I will ask him, hey, chatbot, add me a template of Planner, this kind of template, thank you. And the chatbot will do the work because it will trigger the Power Automate flow, and it will collect the context where he was running, and it will create the planner, sorry, and set up the planner on the correct teams. So it will be workload templates as a service. We could ask the chatbot, sorry, to add a planner, to add a OneNote, or to add an experience. And this is the key word I want to explain to you. For me, Teams is more about experience than templates. Templates is too rigid. We need to have we need to build some experience and to think about every aspect of the experience, the notification, the workloads, and the user interaction. And of course, we can also extend the chatbot to all the old workloads and old feature we previously had, such as the reporting. We can think about a chatbot where we could ask him to give us reporting on demand. And we can, with this kind of scenario, we can completely improve the experience and the adoption for chatbot and Power Platform. So for me, using Power Virtual Agent for Teams governance at this level is much better than using a Power Apps application, because it will have more impact on the user experience. And the idea is to help the user to discover and also to adopt this kind of new possibility inside Microsoft 365. So I know it was a lot and very quick, so I will be happy to answer any question about the session I present you. So don't hesitate to ask me, and I hope you enjoy it and learn something at least. Okay, many thank you for everyone, and have a great day.